What are you talking about today?
Dax Shepard, Solitaire, and Survivor, and a moment in a prayer meeting I had once.
Nice.
It's all about truth.
Everyone loves out of context spoilers.
Everybody loves context spoilers.
Out of context spoilers.
Okay. Which is...
Like, is there an objective truth?
Yeah, is there objective truth?
That's what he asked me.
That's what we're
this
talking
morning
about
when
today.
I walked in and he asked me, Foster, do you know if there's an objective
I've been up
truth?
for 4 minutes, bro.
I just not woke up.
I'm gonna wait for 30 seconds.
Come on.
I told him I don't think that's been the question of philosophy for a while.
I didn't think it was either.
All right, y'all. Welcome. Sorry for the... I guess I'm not going to apologize for jazz. Where's the song we're starting with?
Will 1999.
No. All right, everybody. Welcome. April 2nd. Here we are. Maybe we'll be better than March. Just kidding. Maybe you had an awesome March. I don't know. So, is it going to be warm? 60 degrees today? That's all I got. All right. That's my opening. Me and Taylor got pulled over this morning. So, there's that. And I dropped my phone this week. Just like the green lines of death. So I'm having a horrible week. I'm just kidding. Dropped my phone, getting pulled over. No, we did not get a ticket. I was driving. It wasn't because we were speeding or doing anything illegal. Our tags are expired. Maybe that is illegal, but I'm not going to tell you how expired, but let's just say they're very expired. Let's just say that cop saw us from 2 miles away. So that's how expired they are. 2011? What? You don't even have anything? All right. Let's see here. I want to read you guys something. I don't know if you guys know Brennan Manning. Let's see here. He died 2013 or so. Anyways, he has a crazy story. But I don't agree with everything he says. But a lot of stuff he says I think is really, really helpful. Really, really freeing. He has a memoir, a book called All Is Grace. And this is how he opens the book. And I think it's beautiful for the book. But a lot of the desire, the purpose, the values behind it are stuff that I resonate with in the sense of like what we desire Mosaic to be. And so like he's talking about, he's like, I wrote this book for these reasons. So he's talking about his book, but I kind of want to read it in the sense of like who we are as a church community. So I want to read this for us, and then I'm going to play a song, and then we will name the good. So, also, my computer has 13% left, and I don't have my charger. So there's another 3 strikes this week. Let's just pray. So, Kate and Avery are watching. If it goes out, I'm so sorry. It's because my computer died. That's nothing. So, all right, here we go. Brennan Manning. All Is Grace. It's the book. All Is Grace was written in a certain frame of mind, that of a ragamuffin. Probably heard his other book called The Ragamuffin Gospel. Anyways, he says, therefore, this book is by the one who thought that he'd be further along by now, but he's not. It's by the inmate who promised the parole board that he'd be good, but he wasn't. It's by the dim-eyed who showed the path to others, but kept losing his way. It's by the wet-brained who believed if a little wine was good for the stomach, then a lot must be great. It's by the liar, the tramp, the thief, otherwise known as the priest, the speaker, the author. It's by the disciple whose cheese slid off his cracker so many times that he said, to hell with cheese and crackers. It's by the young at heart, but old of bone, who's led these days in a way that he'd rather not go. But this book is also for the gentle ones who've lived among wolves. It's for those who've broken free of collar, rampant fields of love and marriage. It's for those who mourn, who've been mourning most of their lives, yet hang on so they can be comforted. It's for those who've dreamed of entertaining angels, but instead found a few friends of great price. It's for the younger and elder prodigals who've come to their senses again and again and again and again. It's for those who strain at pious piffle because they've been swallowed by mercy itself. I like that line. They've been swallowed by mercy itself. This book is for myself and those who have been around the block enough times that we dare to whisper the ragamuffins rumor, all is grace. That was beautiful. Dare to whisper, all is grace. So let me play a song for you guys.
Rejects the dropouts, those used to be passed by. The addicts, the burned out, who lost their way so many times. There's room at his table for you. Room at his table for you. 'Cause his mercies new with the morning. Even when you sleep through the day, if you're too drunk to notice, he'll hold your hand till you wake. Stressed out, the worry, those terrified of right now, the wandering, the hurry. Don't know how to slow down. There's room at his table for you. There's room at his table for you. 'Cause his mercies new with the morning. Even when you can't sleep at night, if you're too anxious to notice, he'll hold your hand while you cry. Through the tears we'll sing hallelujah. How can it be you're not too tired to keep holding on to me? Hallelujah. How can it be you're not too tired to keep holding on to me?
Yeah, let me pray first real quick. Jesus, we are here just as we are, not as we should be, because none of us is as we should be. With whatever the week is that we've had, God, I pray that we don't leave it at the door, that we bring it with us, the good, the bad, the stuff that we're celebrating and the stuff that we're mourning. I pray that we all bring it to the table. God, I just pray for your presence. A presence of laughter and freedom and forgiveness and grace, of a mystery that we can't grasp. And I pray that makes us freer, because we're not here to figure things out. We're here to participate, to see, to be curious. I pray that over myself and my friends here that we can embody that today. I pray these things in your name. Amen. All right, y'all. Let's name the good together. The good, the true, the beautiful that you encountered this week. The good donut that Drew and Jordan brought this morning. Amen. That was Walt's first Krispy Kreme donut that he had this morning. Yep. And I gave him one bite and he's like, yummy. So he was vibing with it. So yeah, what have you encountered this week that made you smile or believe a little bit more maybe? smile, eat something good, laugh, whatever.
I'll try to make it short. It's not long. I had to go to the DMV because my wallet got stolen. So my wallet
That's the
got
good
stolen.
right there. I got to go to the DMV.
Credit card was in there, debit card was in there, my license, which was my Oregon license, so I really needed to. That was very happy. I go to the DMV and I did all the stuff online and it was great and they approved it and I got there and they're like, you need to print your driving record from Oregon and bring it in or you have to retake the test. So I had to
Wow.
print like a record showing that I didn't have any points against me or anything like that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I had like planned it perfectly for nap time. It was great. Had to leave. We don't have a printer, so I had to wait for Kevin to print it and I scheduled for the next day. Well, again, my wallet's stolen, so I have a random card that he had because we had to cancel everything. It was like an Apple card, and it's considered Apple Pay. So I'm thinking, oh, this is fine, it'll work. So I get up there and I go to pay, and they're like, we can't accept this, it's Apple Pay, so sorry. And so I'm like, he's like, can you go to the bank and get cash out? And I'm like, no, my wallet got stolen, I don't have a debit card. And he's like, well, can you use this card and go somewhere and get cash back? And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to do that. And having a child and trying to do that, like, it's just a lot. She was already mad for me in her seat. And the lady next to me, she had been talking to me before and she had her little boy with her. And she jumps up and she's like, how much is it? And she paid for it for me. And I was able to just like Venmo her money. And she covered me so I didn't have to leave the DMV in Bluntville and go 10 minutes in one direction to get to it. Like, there's nothing there if you've ever been there. And it just made like, it was so sweet. It like made my day because she got it of like when you're a mom and you have your child and you're having to leave again. I'd already had to do it the day before. And she just, without missing a beat, like she didn't even expect me to pay her back. But luckily we live in a world where Venmo and Cash App exist. And so she just jumped up and she was like, here, I've been there, I got it. And she just totally like, she literally saved me. Because I was like, this is making me so anxious, I'm going to have to leave. And it was just, I've never had an experience like that where someone like has done that. And so it was just, I don't know.
That's really cool.
Drew is the fastest 7th grader in Washington County.
Come on, Drew. Yeah. Nice.
He raced against 2 8th graders.
Nice, dude. That's pretty cool. Basically, we'll have a race after this.
He has to hydrate.
Yeah. Kick my butt. I like run around the house with Walt like once and I'm huffing and puffing, so wouldn't be good. That's awesome.
And you don't think you're going to be a neurotic parent, and you're like, hold it in, and then you see him run, and you're like,
Yeah,
and you're just like, okay, where's that?
yeah. That's awesome. What else?
I thought about y'all this week because I'm going to be out to Christ. I'll try to pull back, and I'll try not to ramble. Leah, to Leah. Because you say, like, name the good, but sometimes the good is not what you think is good.
Yeah.
So I've been praying for something that's nothing great, like please cure cancer, world peace, or anything like that. It's just a selfish thing that I've been praying about. And it's kind of consumed me to the point that sometimes I don't like myself when I think about it. And so I'm like, should I stop praying for this? Because what I'm becoming is consumed and focused and lash out at my family when the little prayer I have doesn't get answered again. And every time I pray about it, God, like, not meanly, but it's like, you know those big signs at the end of the cliff that are like, not this way, you can't go this way. That's the kind of like, no, he gives me. Like, this is almost like, Abby, it's not this way. And I'm like, okay. And I've been kind of mad at him, and I told him this morning I was kind of mad at him. But I think in that prayer and in that like, okay, God, because I keep praying like, please don't let me become cynical or, consumed and not what you've created me to be. Like the fruits of the Spirit were not coming out, we were opposites of those. And I like got mad at Matt yesterday and I was like, oh, this is ugly. And like, this is not what I was asking for. And I think he's finally showing me like, if you don't give this thing, then that's the kind of person I'm creating you to be. Instead of like, I don't want this thing and it's going to make me look like this and feel like this and act like this. And so this morning I went on a run that I wasn't expecting to go on. And I was just like, I finally felt like a turn where I was like, thank you for not giving me this, at least not yet. Because if I turn into this type of person because I get this thing that I don't want to be that. And, I've even done that prayer, like, if you'll give me this, I'll make it for your glory. Like, none of that. Like, pull it all away. It's not my plan anymore. Like, whatever you want it to be. And so I just feel a little bit lighter today because of an unanswered prayer. And I want to be the kind of person that, like, if he has to, like, mold those rough edges in me and to make me align with his will, like, that's what I want. Now, tomorrow, I might not feel that way. I might be a complete jerk again. But in this moment, like, I think he's answering the prayer of, like, sanctification instead of just getting that thing that I want.
That's good. Thanks for sharing that one. What else?
I'm gonna go again. I never go. But Rosie has started like jabbering this week, and so she's going like da da da, and it sounds like she's saying dada, and we don't say dada, we say papa, but it's like the sweetest thing ever. And so she's been just doing that constantly, and if you say no no no, she shakes her head. And it's just fun. Like, it's fun that she's starting to like interact more and do just little stuff like that.
That's cool.
So hopefully, maybe we can get her to do this today.
That's right. We'll bring her in. Anything else?
Cole and I got to go to an orientation yesterday for Milligan for next fall,
Nice.
and they call it like their connections event because you're supposed to like meet new people and be connected. It was a lot of fun. A little nervous at first, but we got to meet a lot of new people. We also got to see a couple of old friends from that go to Milligan, and it was just a lot of fun. And it really made me less nervous for college and more excited for it. And there was a group of us, like after the event was over, we stayed back for a little while and we were just hanging out, laughing, talking with a couple of new people we met, and it just really good.
That's cool.
Made me excited for college.
Yeah. Cheers, man. College is great.
Not great for me this week. I had 3 tests, and me and my friend were studying, and next thing we know, it was 3 a.m. So we're like, there's no point in driving home and having to come back in the morning to take my test early. So we slept in the library.
Wow.
So that was an experience. And we like got up in the morning, went to Walmart, and got like a toothbrush, and was like getting ready. And
I live on campus and I've offered my apartment her more times than I can count. And I had
like
extra
3 in
toothbrushes.
the morning. That's fine.
Whatever.
But anyways, the good in that is that I made 85 on my test.
Yeah,
So
cheers.
that's fine. It's fine.
Yep, cheers.
Well, I'm trying to be like hospitable, and I have lots of friends who have weird times that they're on campus. They don't live on campus. They don't know where to be and how to exist in a weird space. I'm like, hey, I have an apartment with a comfy bed and all the things and snacks, like everything you could want. And so people are like, I do have snacks. When people are like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm like, literally, please, I'd love nothing more than to have you over. I think I'm just getting email about leaving college, and I want to hang out with people more, but that's okay. It's fine.
Anything else? All right, you guys ready? If you want to follow along, go to John chapter 11. Where are we at? 4%. Let's do it. It is on my phone. I'm hoping that I don't have to look at my phone.
13, 5 minutes. You're gonna have to-
It's dropping like by the second. So
Do you have anything open that's stupid like PowerPoint or
PowerPoint.
Excel?
You think I use PowerPoint?
Oh, right.
No, just messages is open.
Close anything.
Chrome.
Close Chrome. Close anything that's accessing the
Well,
internet.
Cade and Avery are in. So
That's you're streaming. That's what's making it.
oh, that's all right. All right. Here's another what about. We're continuing what about. Do I ever get it figured out? There you go. All right. Let's close this up. Got it. That's basically my answer. We're gonna take a long way around the barn just to get to that answer. So I have this thing where I get older but just never wiser. Anybody? Great poet. Just think about that. I have this thing where I get older but just never wiser. Has everybody felt like that? Yeah, getting older but nothing's changing. So have you ever felt like you're the only one who doesn't have the next decade, next year, or even next week planned out, or today planned out? You know, we all have, I think, that kind of that's fear, maybe. You know, or we have people around us that pretend like that's their life. You know. But that's not most of our lives. But think about the extreme. We all have those like know-it-alls in our life, or like movies will have some kind of stereotype, archetype character of a know-it-all. They know everything more than everybody else. You can probably name one where you're elbowing your spouse or something. Another end of the spectrum is like the experienced it-alls. You know, these people where like they've done it more than you have, or they've been through worse than you have, or their sickness is worse than your sickness. And you know, you guys know those people, or maybe it's you if you don't know those people. Your job was harder than everybody else's job. You know, it's just kind of our way of talking. No one understands you. You're too unique. You stand out. All that stuff. It goes further. You guys know the best parents are those without kids. You know, you don't have kids yet, so it's easy to be a parenting expert. The best politicians are those who aren't in politics. It's those on Facebook. You know. The best basketball players are those who sit on the couch while watching the pros do it. This is my life all the time. The best construction workers are those who have never done construction a day in their life. You with me? And you know how it works. When you have kids, you figure out you have no idea what's going on. When you step into politics, you find out that there's so much more going on that's like over your head. When you grab a basketball, you realize there's much more skill and practice and know-how and experience under pressure that goes into it. You know, it's just a lot more going on. It's easy for me to pound some Doritos and yell at LeBron James when something's happening. You'd never yell at LeBron. He's the best player ever. But it's like, you should be doing this. Here's my perspective, you know. You should be better. That's how it works. We all seem to suffer from the same thing in some way. It's an obsessive need to have things figured out and tied up in some bow. Walt is obsessed with space stuff right now. It's really cute and fun. He sees the moon and the stars, and he asks about the moon and the stars and the sun, and it's really interesting. But so I love astronomy, and so I kind of taken some roller coasters through of just like being really interested, not really interested, and back and forth. So Walt being really interested in stuff again has just piqued my interest, and so like I'm explaining to him stuff, you know, and so it just made me like process it more again, and it's just really bonkers to process this stuff. I don't know if you've ever thought about deep space and like how massive Jupiter is compared to the Earth, or just like crazy stuff, you know, and like it's become such a weird thing to me of just like, if I'm going to tell Walt about Jupiter, I need to know what's going on. And I have no idea what's going on. Like, what's at the end of space? Like, it's ever expanding, you know? Like, what are we expanding into? Or whatever, you know? Like, the biggest star that we know of, in an average size plane going the average speed a plane goes, it will take someone 1,100 years to go around the entire thing. That's how big it is. 1,100 years. Was it circumvent? Is that the word? Mm-hmm. To circumvent the star. It's massive. Like, how do we even have a category for that? Like, we kind of have the bend of this, like having things tied up. It's a stem from control. A lot of people talk about it's a result of our evolution of like needing to protect our people, protect each other, whatever, from the animals in the bush or the poison berries or whatever. It's like an evolutionary impulse of like needing to know. So it's not bad. It's just like we kind of need to know some things. Sometimes the mystery is just too mysterious for us. Like we need hard evidence on some of these things. Take it into the Jesus-y Christian world. Do you have to have the correct view on theology and all these things? We talk about this all the time, but just to name it. Like, is God waiting for you to get the proper view of hell and atonement and sexuality and inerrancy and creation and manuscript authenticity and authorship of the Torah? And which view of baptism should you take and the Eucharist and the end times? Like, is God waiting for you to figure that stuff out before whatever he blesses you or before you're even a Christian? Like, maybe that's the category, you know? Do you have to check all that stuff out? And is that the best that God can do? Is that what God is up to in the world? Is this ordering your brain? Maybe your thought process isn't that, like, that's how I become a Christian or I'm saved. But just think about, like, will it make sense? Well, like, what should I do in college? Will that ever just, like, land in my lap? Well, how to parent? Will that ever make sense? And I'll figure that out. Why life is so hard? What's going on with politics? The gun violence that we're experiencing in our world? Like, are we going to figure this stuff out? Why can't I get a job that I actually like? Will I ever figure it out? Family of origin issues, like you're dealing with some family trauma. Are you ever going to shake it and figure it all out? You know, hard friendships, whatever. It all makes sense. And here's my answer. Probably not. I'll say a maybe. To add some optimism, maybe. The Bible and Christianity is far more about wisdom than it is answers, though. The Bible and Christianity is far more about wisdom than it is answers. And I think that's actually better. Jesus seemed to be far more concerned with who you are as a person, which I would say is wisdom, than what you're thinking in your head, answers. So even if we're not talking about explicit biblical answers on stuff, like which view of communion should you take? Even if we're not talking about that, I think we take the same principle and we can apply it to everything else. So like if by figured out, you mean like firm answers and certainty and everything tying up in a nice bow, then probably not. Like you may not get a good answer on stuff. But if by figured out, you mean like wisdom and having a deeper resonance on some things, like going deeper, wider, having some grounding and some stability in life, I think so. Yeah. Like that's what me and Taylor talk about with having Walt. Like we've only had one kid as of right now, but it's like, did we figure things out after having Walt? No. But it's like we do feel a little bit more grounded in life or something. I don't even know how to quantify it, you know? But it's like maybe that's how you'll end up in a decade. You may not have more answers, but you may have some wisdom. So wisdom, thoughtfully and intentionally living artfully and skillfully in the world. It's the ability to make peace with what was, accepting what is, taking responsibility for what is and could be. So you got a Bible, John 11. Let's hit some stuff. And then I'm going to give you some more principles, 3 reminders, and some practices, and I'll be done. Where are we at? 1%. All right. Be real good. Let me just go ahead and pull this up. All right, John chapter 11, look at verse 1. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. It was Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. When Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. It's for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. And after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and are you going to go there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in a day, he does not stumble because he sees the light, because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. After saying these things, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go to awaken him. Disciples said to him, Lord, if he's fallen asleep, he will recover. Now Jesus had spoken of his death. They thought he was talking about sleep. Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus has died, and for your sake, I'm glad that he was not there, so that you may believe. But let's go to him. So Thomas, called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let's go, so we may die with him. There's so much we can talk about, but we just got to keep going. 17. Now, when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary remained seated in the house. Martha said to Jesus, listen to her question, or what she says to Jesus in 21. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Okay? We'll talk about this more in just a second. But even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you. And we'll stop right here in 23. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Just hold on to that for a second, okay? 14, you don't have to go back and look at it, but in 14:15, Eugene Peterson in the Message translates it as, you're about to be given new grounds for believing. Okay? That's what he's talking about in verses 14, when Jesus says, Lazarus has died, and for your sake, I'm glad that I was not there, so that you may believe. Eugene translates it and says, you're about to be given new grounds for believing. You're about to be given new grounds for participating. That's what belief means, okay? So before, you might have believed for reasons like things made sense. So think about 5 years ago.